Hey guys, so I'm back. All right. Good morning. This is Yanni Red, and today I'm going to be talking about why taking in-person lock classes is probably not the best thing to do. Um, okay. And yes, I did, and I do still give in-person lock classes. However, there is another thing that I have added because of this main issue. So let's get into it. Okay. So the first things first is that most of the locticians that I talk to, or the people that want to learn how to do locks, or barbers that want to do locks, especially moms and everybody, they all want to show up to an in-person workshop where they get to practice hands-on with a trainer, with a teacher, with something like that going on, right? And I'm here to tell you that that can be supportive. However, it only works when you have a clientele, okay? It works when you have a clientele and a memory. And a lot of people that are searching for these classes, they don't have a clientele. First and foremost, they might have a memory, but without a clientele to practice what you remember, you lose the whole thing. And that is the big premise on why lock styling classes are not always ideal. So let's just talk about what I experienced. So I'll talk about how I got started doing the classes, and then I'll talk about um, what was going on in those classes and what the results were, what I did to offset that, and then how COVID actually made it like the best thing in the world since sliced bread. So if you just tuning in, we're gonna be talking about the best ways to learn how to do locks quickly so that you're not wasting years of trial and error on trying to learn how to do locks. Like most people, they'll come in like, I've been doing this for 6 years and they don't even know how to do barrels correctly, or they've been doing it for 6 years and I'll be like, you know how to get rid of dandruff, and they still haven't figured it out. And I'm gonna just say that one of the reasons why you still haven't figured that out, and drop a one in the chat with me if you're looking for a lock class to take. If you're looking for classes right now, or you got, or you're using YouTube to learn, I want you to drop a little one in the chat so that I could let you know about a really cool way to learn locks that is super fast and makes you an expert immediately, right? But let's go back. Okay, so when I did own a hair salon, I started owning hair salons in 1998, and this was around 2007. So we talking about right up and around me coming up to 10 years, a decade of being a salon owner. I wound up getting into a hair magazine, and they published me four times first, and then they published me over the year. They published me four times, and then six times. So over 10 times from 2007 to 2010. And then I started getting other magazines. So I got published 36 times in my hair career in magazines, right? Now, what that did was get a lot of people asking to take my class, which at the time in the beginning, I was like, I'm not teaching nobody how to do what I do, right? But something happened, and I realized that the lock community is going to suffer if I don't, because they didn't know what the hell they was doing, and most of them still don't. And so this is a part of my mission, why I keep doing classes, or keep offering the training year after year, because it's not about the money, it's about the fact that the whole world don't know how to do locks, and the whole world is trying to, looks like, right? So um I did that, magazines, and then I would shop hop all the time. And so once the magazine came out, a lot of times I wasn't in the same place, and I probably didn't have the same phone number. So I didn't know that a lot of people were looking for me to take these classes. And right around 2010, I had just opened up a salon, another salon I had just opened up. And I stayed there for about 18 months. And this is when I started collecting all of the people that was looking for me. Now they could find me because when the magazine came out this time, I was still in the same place in my shop. And this is when I learned that I had the following I did, because I was doing magazines for 3 years. I was featured 3 years, keep constantly putting out new stuff in the magazine. But once people caught up with me, I had like an overflow of people that wanted to take class from me. And it didn't come from social media because social media wasn't out yet. That's crazy, right? Is that I've been doing this before social media. And if you go back on this same channel 15 years, you'll see the first lock tutorial published by a stylist, a professional tutorial. That was mine, right? And so that magazine, right, used to be social media. Like hair magazines was social media back in the day. And that's where you looked if you wanted to find a dope hairstyle. And so a lot of people found my dope hairstyles for locks before it was popular to even style locks, right? And if you actually go back to my first video, which is not on my page, you'll see that people were saying that's going to cause traction alopecia. That's going to do this. That's going to do that. However, now you barely hear the word traction alopecia because now that they understand that that's not I wasn't ripping any hairs out. I'm just separating the parts that they got. So they don't have traction alopecia. They have parts, okay, in the story. We're not even about to go into that. However, right around 2009, I'm in my shop. I get a phone call from a lady in Atlanta, and she introduces me to the World Natural Hair Show, the Talia Wajiz show. And so she like, yeah, you got to come down here because these styles you do, she stopped and looked for you for 3 years. I need you to come down here to Atlanta and show these people how it's done. Now, me not knowing that I'm coming to a whole hair show with a company that is a lock salon like mine. They train people like I train my people. They had products at the time. I didn't have products, and they had this show. However, they didn't have no skills. And so at this time, I still wasn't doing the classes yet, right? So I did like the best hairstyle in the show, and they did not place me at all. Not first, and I'm leading up to why the in-person lock classes are not good. So if y'all don't want to hear this part, I don't know what to tell y'all. But this is not TikTok, so I don't have to get straight to the point, but I am getting straight there. So, all right. I get the phone call. I go to the show. When I get down to the show, now this is the thing. I did not have hair products, right? But I did have those magazine pages, right? And then for the show, I made tutorials. I made those first tutorials, right? And I made 5 different tutorials, and I made a poster that if you look up some of my stuff, you see me in front of my poster doing my Vanna White thing. That poster, those were my first products, and those actually came out in 2009. So I had products since 2009, but not the typical products like everybody else. I didn't have an oil and a cream and an edge control. I had stuff that was teaching stylists, right? So my first encounter of teaching didn't come from having classes. It came from having tutorials, okay? After the tutorial, then people would want to take an in-person class. But then YouTube was out, right? And YouTube was very new. So I decided, hey, I want to get on there and I want to share hairstyling on there. And I want y'all to go back, I really do, the 15 years and find that there was not a lot of hairstylists on board with sharing their techniques on no social media. Okay, this is the beginning. There was no hairstylist sharing the techniques on social media, right? So when I started that and I had the magazines, I go down to the show. And when I go to the show, because the magazines were like, they were like 2 years in now, almost 3 years that we was doing the hair magazines. People at that show knew exactly who I was, and I didn't know that. It was weird. I felt like a celebrity, all of that stuff, because they saw the magazine since 2007. So you see, back then I wasn't even understanding of what type of impact I was actually about to create. So in 2007, from 2007 to 2009, I done put out, 16 or so pages in a few different magazines. And so now I didn't even realize I had developed a whole new persona of this lady who does these amazing lock styles. We got to find her. Da, 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 da. And so that's how my classes actually started. I went to that hair show to sell tutorials and my poster, and I came out of there with about 600 people that wanted to take my class, right? Which I didn't like at first. I didn't want people to do hair like me. I wanted to remain the best, no competition, whatever. That's how I wanted to be. And then I broke my ankle, right? Now, once I broke that ankle, that's when it was like, maybe I should teach because it's not like I can do the hair right now. And then another thing happened. I started looking at other people locks. And that's when I was like, oh yeah, we got to do some classes. We got to do some classes. Okay, so now we at the gist of what we was talking about. Who's still here with me? Is anybody still here with me, or should I just shut up about the topic? Is anybody still here? Let me know. Okay, so I'm gonna fast forward up to when I gave the first class. Okay, I had a shop then. I gave the class. People came to that class, right? And we did the hands-on boot camp. Everything was great. Everybody learned every style. We did barrels, basket, fishtails, and then I would have them do like a combo style where they would sew it together and make buns. The bun hiding the thread so you couldn't see how the bun was put together. Unlike today where they'll just have bobby pins and hairpins just all showing and mm-mm, 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 I don't play that. But anyway, so those people came, took the class, they did great in class. And I was building relationships. So I'm like, yeah, let me check in on my students. Somebody came to class a couple of months ago. I go back, and now that social media is up, people started posting. I go look at their work and I'm like, wow, those barrels are not the barrels that you learned in class. And they look raggedy, like they're going to come out, right? Like how they was doing it before they came to class. And then there was like the basket weave, which is one of the styles that really generates a lot of press. It make people ask, who did your hair? Who did your hair? So that's one of the styles that I recommend that you learn first so that you don't have a problem getting clients. However, when I look back at their stuff after a few months, they didn't even have any of the stuff up there that we learned in class, right? We would do the class, they would do the fishtails, they would do the basket weave, they would do all of the styles in class because I have a no person left behind premise in my class. That's our guarantee that I will not leave you behind because you're not catching on. Even if I have to take one of the students who is catching on and have them continue with the people that are going, I will stop and help the person who is having the most difficulty because I want to make sure everybody gets it, right? And so I would do that. And now, after I would talk to them again, after they took the lock class, they learned the fishtails, they learned this stuff. I would go back through their pages months later and not see nothing we went over in class. And because I have integrity, I'm not just a teacher who wants you to take a class because that's not what you came for. You came to learn the style. You didn't come to take a class. That's just a vehicle that we use to get you the result you want. You came to learn the style. So my thing was, even if you took class and class was already over, I will reach back out to you. If you don't remember the style, then that means me and you need to get on. It was Google Hangouts back then. It wasn't even Zoom. So that means me and you need to get on Google Hangouts, and you need to bring a model, and we need to go over this again. Now, I was on it back then, back in like 2009, 2010, on doing virtual classes, right? And at the time, I just thought it would be a supporting factor because you had tutorials, you took a class with me, and now we're going to get on the video chat, which is what they was calling it back in the day. We're going to get on the video chat. And if you forgot anything, we're going to go back over what you forgot so that you could retain that because you paid me to know that, right? Because that was my difference, is that you didn't pay me to take a class. You paid me to know what I know. So if you don't know what I know 3 months later, then that means I need to reach back out, or you need to reach back out, or we need to continue going, right? So this is what was happening with the in-person lock classes, that you get there and they do the work in class, but once it's time for them to show it back to you 6 weeks later, 2 months later, they do not remember how to do it. And so a lot of times people are like, oh, I don't remember how to start the fishtail. I don't remember how you closed the basket. I don't remember how you did this. So I started thinking about it like, okay, you have the tutorial. I've been to you in person and you still don't know, right? So I started to call it aftercare. It was hybrid hands-on. It was me mixing a hands-on experience with me being online with you. And a lot of people just could not understand what that was, especially at the time they had never video chatted, right? Even now, people video chat, you got FaceTime, you got live, you got all of this stuff, and people are still saying, I want hands-on when you say that it's going to be virtual. And I'm like, it is hands-on. So, taking a hands-on class without any supporting documents, without a book, a tutorial, or a follow-up with the teacher, right? If you've been doing this, this is part of the reason why you probably having a problem becoming confident doing locks. And this goes for locticians, hairstylists, barbers, whoever. Y'all think when somebody say, oh, I'm teaching a class, right? That's the thing. Oh, now I can finally get some hands on. But if you don't have enough clients to practice that, you're gonna lose it. So first and foremost, if you don't have enough clients, if you're a beginner, right? If you only do one or two people's heads, the worst way for you to learn is to get in an in-person workshop. Because once it's over, you don't have enough practice set up to sustain that. But if you had your own clientele and you had, 10 or 15 people you was doing every week, then you get enough practice to master things. And that's the difference that I want y'all to get, is that when you master something, you know how to do it. But when you learn something, you need to master it first, or you're going to lose the information. Does that make sense? Do I got anybody on here dropping a one in the chat about the key I just dropped? Is that if you learn something, you need to master it next, okay? And so what I was doing was offering the training, the second part of the training, so that they can master it, because I don't want to do a class with you, give you a certificate, and then come back and look at your work and it's raggedy. Like, it need to look like I did it. Okay. That was the premise. And that still is the premise and always going to be the premise. If you take a class with Yanni Red to learn lock styling, it's not over when class is over. If we're in person, we're still going to work on this after I leave, because you need to get your money's worth. You need to master it. And because I care about the lock community. Okay. Because that's the thing, is, like I said, it's not about the money. It's more about the lock community. I do everything to the standard that I do because of that lock community, because of the people that's really supporting this. And if you was on my live a few minutes ago, we talked about why I still call it dreads, and how there's a serious stigma about people with locks in the United States, where the police, they're still discriminated against. So I don't want to hear my hair is glamorous, it's nothing dread. I don't want to hear it, because y'all wasn't even doing dreads back when you wasn't even doing it back then. You didn't even like it back then. You didn't even understand it back then, and you didn't care. Now that everybody has locks and it's pretty and we got styles and all of that stuff, not everybody want to jump on a bandwagon, but nobody still is standing up for the lock community in no type of way. Okay? Licensing. All these hair schools, they don't require them to do locks properly at all, which is crazy, because look how many people have locks. This is a billion. Last time I checked, it was at $13 billion, the lock industry, with products and all of this stuff. And the Consumer Affairs Board still have not started a lock license. Now, of course, they don't know how to do locks, so they ain't going to start no license. However, they could have reached out to me a long time ago. I've reached out to so many boards about bringing on locks. And what they like to do is be like, oh, you got to go through legislation. So we got to go have a law changed to get healthy practices put into schools for our hair if we gonna wear locks. And yeah, I cut my locks off. I had them for 4 years. From 2021 no, wait, back it up. From 2022 up to 2026. And what happened is my father passed away. Okay. And I had a bun in my hair. I had it like all pulled back with the little bun with a tam on it with my veil. And when I got home, I just did not want that hair anymore. I didn't want it. Um, I don't know why, what happened or whatever, but I just did not want that hair anymore. And so I cut it off. So when you look at me now, you like, who is this lady talking about locks? The same one who been talking about it. And one of my students the other day in class, she was like, was it hard for you to build a clientele with locks since you don't have locks? And I'm like, it wasn't never hard. It's actually harder for a person with locks to build a clientele than it is for me to build it because I know what I'm doing, right? Like just because you wear locks, that don't mean that you know how to do them. That don't mean you know how to do it without pulling, and the quality of my work is, it wasn't about the look per se. To me, it's about the look, but it's also about the feel. And how does it feel when I do your hair? Like that's the part that most locticians you can't get that in one class. You're not going to get that. You're not going to become a lock expert by taking in-person workshops because a lot of the stuff that you need to learn takes longer than a few hours to do. Like even if we went over how to get rid of dandruff, it's a 16-week process to fully get rid of it. So I can't teach you that in one day. I could tell you, but I can't teach you. I can't monitor it with you. I can't go over this with you and make sure that you mastered it in a 1-day class. So you know what I started doing next? 2-day classes. 2-day classes, right? Started doing 2-day classes. Then I started doing 3-day classes, and I even ended with a 4-day class. You know what I found out is that it was too much information at one time, right? And the students was getting fatigued. They was getting brain fatigue from learning so much stuff all at one time. And then again, when I would check the work a few months later after they took the class, the work would be horrible. It would be right back to how it was before they took the class. And they look like they took bits and pieces of what I said and try to piece it together when I'm over here like, yo, just call me back and ask me what's up. Okay, just call me back and ask me. I'm not that kind of teacher that's just going to leave you hanging. Oh, the class is over. I'm not that type. I'm literally going to show you again and again and again and again and again until you get it. But I can't do that in a one-person class. I can't do it in a workshop. I can't even do it if you is not going to respond back. Because that's what happens a lot of times too, is people just assume, oh, I took the class already. I can't ask her to teach me that again. Yes, you can if you're working with me. I want you to ask. You better ask, because if you don't, I'm not giving you no certificate. I'm not giving you a certificate if you cannot spit back to me what I just taught you. Okay. And that's what y'all got to understand, is that a lot of these classes that's out here, they're classes. They want your money for a certain amount of time. Okay. I even took a class on the cranial prosthesis before, and it was a 1-day class. And by the time I got a damn client for it, it was a lot of stuff that I never did it before, so I didn't know how to do it. We went over it in class 2 months ago. It took me 2 months to get a client. I go to call this heifer back that did the class, and she wouldn't even respond. And then now when I see her, she's back out doing this same class, talking about how she made millions off of it and this and that. Yes, you probably made millions, but you made a bunch of people who don't know what the hell they're doing on people's heads. And the sad part about it is, this is our community doing shit that is detrimental to our community, all for a few bucks, right? And so I'm here to bring some integrity back to the industry, okay? With these classes, with some of the stuff that people are doing, because This is the reason why it's so hard. Like it, this is the reason why, and it's not hard for people that have been in the industry for a long time. It's hard for the new people, and this is why they tell you got to get social media, because social media allows you to hide the fact that you don't know what you're doing, because views can make people think that you know what you're doing. All right. So we're going to go back over it. The in-person classes, they're good if you have clients and can continue to practice after class. If you got a lot of clients, you continue to practice after class. If not, then the worst thing you could do to build your career is start taking classes that you cannot execute the things that you learned right away. Okay. So that's my spiel on that. I'm hoping that you guys got it, okay? Because this is why you see so many coaching programs now, because people need time to learn things. You cannot learn it in one day. Most of the stuff you're not going to learn it in 2 hours. You need time to master, develop, understand, make mistakes and all of that kind of stuff before you can actually really learn something. So if you're in a class where it's over at the end of the class, I'm telling you now, you wasted your money. Okay, you wasted your money, because you're going to need to know and follow back up and master that information before it's all done. So one thing that happens with me is that the first thing I do with my new locticians is we talk. I don't even want you to touch anybody's head yet, because they already expressed to me that they don't know if they're doing things correctly. So why would we start on the person's head? First of all, let's just talk, right? Let's talk. What are you doing to their hair that you feel like is not good? And one of the number one things is they want to know if the products that they're using is good. And I'm asking them one question: do you put it on this little metal thing on your wrist, or do you put it on your hand? They tell me they put the metal thing on the wrist, then you know where we going. Why would you use that when you can't? Why would you use that? Why would you use that product? Like, right? Now, this is the thing. Going to the 1-day workshop, your stylist or loctician probably was using that product. And so you just thought, hey, she uses it, I'm going to use it. Another difference when you take the class with me is that I don't play that. If you don't know why I'm doing something, you need to ask. And don't just be a blind follower doing what everybody else is doing, because that's why most of y'all clients got thinning locks, dry scalp, dry hair, falls out when you put color in it, don't know how to do the parting, don't know how to make the grid so that it comes out the size the client want in the first place. Like, it's so much I don't know going on because of the way the learning process is thought to do. So I have to go through all of this crap just to get people to understand that that's not the way to learn. And they say no to the way that they could learn. No to that. What the hell am I doing? No to that. They be like, I want to do hands on. I need to see it. And I'm like, you already had the tutorial. And I'm like, oh, I need to come in person. I just want to, and I'm just like, I don't like people like that. Like, I'm antisocial. So, you got to be like my Lily over here, just a beautiful butterfly for me to like really want to hang around you, because my tolerance level and the blatant disrespect people be having, I just can't. So I don't want to meet you in person most of the time when we do the class. I want to talk to you about what you're doing wrong. I want to show you what to do instead. And then I want you to practice that. And once you master it, then I want you to do it back for me. And so the way I do my classes now is that I don't even start you in person. We do a whole thing where you're going to do Q&A first. You're going to do some hybrid hands-on online so that I can make sure you got the concept. And then when I get to you, you're going to know exactly how to do these styles so you can get certified. But I do not certify a person who just learned this 2 minutes ago, because 2 hours from now, you might not even know what the hell you just went over. So if you want to take your career to like the next level and you want to do it fast, then you need to consider joining with me, right? And this is the thing, I don't do cheap classes either. I'm not even about to tell y'all it's free. I'm not even about to tell you it's $1,000, because it's not. It's way more. Okay. talk about $5,000, talk about $7,500 for the class, right? But this is why it costs this much, because you actually going to be an expert loctician from the door, from the beginning, right? And you're going to get your own product line. You're going to know exactly what these products are made of and what they are for and why they work. You're going to know exactly what the ingredients mean. Like, you're going to know how to look at a damn shampoo and understand, is this really moisturizing like it says on the thing? Because a lot of them, and this is the one day class shit, they be like, oh, what products do you use? They just ready to take what somebody said, and that's gospel. They ready to take what somebody said, and that's the truth. But I don't teach my classes like that. I don't teach my students to do that. I teach them, this is how I came up with this answer, and I want you to see how to come up with answers. Another thing that I also teach them is that when you do research, like, this is one of the major things that keeps these lock classes being like, no, don't, okay, is that when you do research, right, your client could come in there with a jacked up scalp, right? They scalp just jacked up. And you think that research is going on YouTube, TikTok, social media, and looking for somebody talking about what is going on with your client's scalp because they already went through it, right? Here's the problem with that. The way to do the research is sitting in your chair, right? Give me a 1 in the chat. I know I ain't got a lot of people on here, but give me a 1 in the chat if you understand that researching starts with examining the subject that you're researching, not looking at a video, right? Like, if I got a scalp issue right in front of me, I'm going to look at that scalp and try to determine some information so that I know and can make an informed decision. However, most people are not going to do that. They're going to try to find a class for one day. They're going to come back with some half-ass information, some notes they done took, and they're going to come back with no implementation results, which is what you need if you want to master something. You need to know, like, if you encounter this part, this is this, or detour here, or you encountered that because you didn't wet the hair enough or whatever. But you're not going to learn how to be an expert in these one-day classes, and you're going to need many classes, okay? I got people that still, after 6 years, you still not confident. 5 years, you still not confident. I got people 7 years like, oh, well, I'm a beginner. And I'm like, you 7 years in, you're not a beginner? But they feel like they're a beginner because nobody is checking the work. They going to learn something and then they just winging it. And so if you do want to learn how to do locks, I'm going to share it again at the bottom, my school group. If you want to learn how to do it quickly, because this is the thing, you can learn it, but it's taking y'all years to do what my stylists literally be learning in 90 freaking days or less. Like, I get them on expert status on day 1 because it's a talk. It's a talk about what you're doing. I don't have to show you no hands-on to fix the hair care part. I can just tell you what to do and show you exactly how to know if it's working, right? Not in no one-day class. I can't. We just going to go over what we going to go over there. And then if you do need implementation, you're going to do it on your own because that's how those classes are set up. But if you join me for my hyper hands-on experience of taking a class, is a lot like going to hair school, right? You go to hair school for 9 months, a year, something like that, but you do not go for one day. Okay. So if you think that going to a one-day class when you're a beginner, because that's really the issue, is that it's the beginners. It's not the seasoned stylists. Seasoned stylists could go learn the style. They got somebody that they got in mind to put it on, all of that stuff. But if you are a beginner and you trying to get good, you gotta join with a coach, an ongoing one. And then the sad part is that you really just gotta join with me. And why is that sad? Because there's so many lock classes. However, every person I get, I usually don't be the first class they took because my class be more expensive than the class they in. However, it becomes even more expensive because instead of you just investing properly the first time, you don't invest properly, right? You take anybody class. Anybody say they got a class. And so if you're trying to do this with lock classes in person, I'm just trying to shed some light on the reason why it may not be working. It's not you, it's not your fault. It's simply the fact that that model of learning is incomplete. Okay, guys? So I didn't have to take 35 minutes to tell y'all this, but I did. So that's it. Make sure that you like, subscribe, share the video if you know somebody who's trying to do some damn in-person classes. And y'all, thank you for listening. Matter of fact, I want to stay here. I want to stay here because I was about to cut out, but I'm going to stay here because I need to drive this point home a little bit more because I'm offering an in-person class in Atlanta, August 9th through the 11th. I'm going to be in Atlanta doing the Master Lock course, which I now call the Expert Lock Transformation. I can't even call it a Master Loctician course no more because everybody think they a Master Loctician even when they can't do locks, which is weird. However, we are doing the Master Loctician course. It's a 3-day event. However, after you finish that course, you also have your 30-day run to get it right. Okay, so you're going to be meeting with me 30 days after the class. Make sure that you master everything. Make sure if you need clients or whatever to practice on, that I help you get that. And that's what we're going to do. Okay, and so on that note, I am going to cut out of this video, and I will see you guys on the flip side. We're going to find something else to talk about.